Hi, I'm Karl Smith. I'm an emeritus professor of civil engineering at the University of Minnesota. Currently helping out at the STEM Education Research Center here at the University of Minnesota, where I'm speaking from. I'm also the Cooperative Learning Professor of Engineering Education at Purdue, helped start the first engineering education PhD program in the world. And my interest in improving learning goes way back to the 70s, when the only model I had ever seen, which was giving a lecture, didn't work, and I searched for better ways and came across cooperative learning, which I introduced nationally to engineering educators in 1981, and we've seen it continue to expand in use. I think one of the most important things to do is learn more about the students and be careful about your assumptions. The students are unlikely going to be like you. So doing things like a background knowledge information survey before the course is to find out what they're interested in, what their backgrounds, what their experiences, what their aspirations are. It's something that I've done for years, and it's always interesting. And I find that there's a huge diversity in kind of their experiences, what their aspirations are. And I think it's one of the things that's really helped me stick with this, the idea of we need pedagogies for diversity. A lecture will work for a few people. It doesn't work for most. It seems to work for people who become professors in research universities, or they cope regardless. But we can do so much better than that. And we really often don't acknowledge, nor do we create opportunities for students to learn from and with one another, given their own strengths and interests. And many students come to college and university with a broad range of experiences, and finding opportunities for them to share with one another to help one another learn, I think can really enrich the learning experience and help celebrate the diversity. Homogeneity is a myth. Even if you bring together a group of people who look alike, who have similar backgrounds, they're going to be differences. So what you really need is to, one, acknowledge, and for professors in research universities like me, the first thing to acknowledge is the students are unlikely to have the same interests and motivations that you do. And their interests and motivations are going to be different. And so you really need instructional approaches that will acknowledge diversity, find ways to celebrate it, and to make effective use of it in the classroom. Cooperative learning is it's a very formal way of working together, especially there are three kind of broad categories of ways of implementing cooperative learning. One, there's a so-called informal, short-term, ad hoc, turn to your neighbor, which some would consider as active learning. The think, pair, share fits in that category, and results show that there's more and better learning under those circumstances than straight lecture or individual work. But the real heart of cooperative learning is formal cooperative learning groups, where there's well-structured positive interdependence. So there's a real reason for people to come together and work together, which is operationalized in a variety of ways. The most common way is a common goal, a single product, which can be really problematic. A role interdependence, giving people different roles to play, and roles, according to Elizabeth Cohen's work, roles provide status in teams or in groups, And so it helps people have really a meaningful role to play or meaningful place. The most powerful form of interdependence is what's called learning goal interdependence, which essentially says you are not finished as a team until each one of you understands and can explain at least this much. If you use cooperative learning, you really need to make sure it's worthwhile, that they have something that needs a team effort. A lot of times, faculty will they won't form a team. They'll tell students to go off and work together outside of class on often a make work assignment. And one person does it, and others say, "Oh, it looks okay to me." It's just a waste of time. If you're going to use, especially formal cooperative learning, make sure it's a challenging enough task that they actually need one another. Make sure that they have time during class to get together, get working on it, start to establish the relationships. Use the technology support, give them a space on, you said you use Blackboard, give them a discussion group space. We use Moodle at University of Minnesota, but then you have to monitor that. You need to check in periodically and see how they're doing.